can we only take fatwa about jihad from the Mujahideen, or can we take fatwa about jihad from ulama?
Wallah, brother, will be the biggest disaster if you take fatwa from the Mujahideen on jihad. Who said a Mujahid, he's the one that gives a fatwa? Mujahid doesn't give a fatwa. The fatwa comes from a scholar. The fatwa comes from the scholars. Ever since when a Mujahid gives a fatwa? That's not the job of the Mujahid. It's like, do I take fatwa on how to pray from those who pray? If I see someone praying, khalas, he gives me a fatwa. Fatwa is given from the scholars, from the Imams. Okay, I don't get a fatwa from the Mujahideen on jihad. They're two different things. A Mujahid is fighting on the battlefield according to the fatwa that the scholar gives him, based on the Quran and Sunnah that we understand. But to say, wallahi, my fatwa is from the Mujahideen, that's again, that's ignorance. Like a Mujahid, like, you know, these Mujahideen, they fight. Some of them probably, Allah alam how much knowledge they have. I get my fatwa from them, Allahu Akbar, will be disaster. Will be a huge disaster if I base my fatwa on every Mujahid. Just because someone fights on the battlefield doesn't mean he's a scholar. You know, it doesn't mean if someone just, you know, fights on the battlefield, khalas, they become a scholar.
There's a follow-up to that question. Some people say that there's a hadith that when the ulama are in a disagreement, you ask those in the battlefield.
No, I've never heard this hadith. And I'm sure this hadith does not exist. Okay, and I'm sure the Prophet Muhammad would not say, leave the ulama and go to the Mujahideen and ask him the question.
They say that this is the opinion of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah.
That?
They say that this is the opinion of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah.
I'm 100% sure it's taken out of context. Because I'm sure Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah is not going to say, leave the scholars and go and ask people who are fighting on the battlefield. I'm sure. Because there's no way this makes sense. I'm going to leave. Who gives the fatwa? Who is the one that gives fatwa? The scholars. The scholars of Islam are the ones who give the fatwa. It's not the mujahid or the one that's giving da'wah or the one that's praying, the one that gives the fatwa. The fatwa comes from the scholars. So it doesn't mean if you go and fight on the battlefield, khalas, you become a sheikh or you become a alim. That's not common sense. And I'm sure that if Ibn Taymiyyah said something like that, he doesn't mean it this way. 100%.